Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and it is Sunday, so we are doing breaches of the week. And unfortunately, this is actually going to be a very truncated breaches of the week due to my hectic travel schedule this week. I did not have a chance to compile all the notes, but nevertheless, I want to thank the following people that sent me a ton of information that I will use for next week's breaches of the week. We're just going to keep the ball rolling here, but thank you very much to Chris Fallon, Jay Dance, Barrett Peterson, Jacqueline Wolf, and if I missed something or didn't mention you and sent me something, believe me, I will find it and give you a shout out next week. And if you have something for me in terms of data breaches, send it my way, and I will give you a shout out here as well as on my nationally syndicated radio show as well. And the only breach we're going to be talking about today is the big one. So this is kind of my finale of the week, even though we're starting with it. And the only one we're going to be talking about today is Uber, the ride-sharing platform, because they discovered that their computer network had been breached this past Thursday, leading the company to take several of its internal communications and engineering systems offline as it investigated the extent of the damage of this hacking incident. Now, the breach appeared to have compromised many of Uber's internal systems, and a person claiming responsibility for the hack sent out images of email, cloud storage, and code repositories to cybersecurity researchers, as well as in New York Times, where I'm cribbing a lot of this information from. And to quote Sam Curry, basically a security researcher at Yuga Labs, who was looking through all of this and was corresponding with that particular attacker, and I quote, "They pretty much have full access to Uber. This is like a total compromise from what it looks like." Now, an Uber spokesperson said the company was investigating the breach and contacting law enforcement. Uber employees were instructed not to use company's internal messaging platforms like Slack and found that other internal systems were inaccessible, and that's according to two employees who were not authorized to speak publicly. In other words, they're off the record. Now, or I guess they're anonymous, but on the record. Shortly before, basically, Slack was taken offline on Thursday afternoon. If you don't know what Slack is, it's like an internal messaging communication systems that a lot of companies use. So when Slack was taken down, basically Thursday afternoon, Uber employees received a message that read, and I quote, "I announce I am a hacker and Uber has suffered a data breach," end quote. The message was basically went on to list several internal databases that the attacker had claimed to compromise. Now, the attacker also compromised a worker's Slack account and used it to basically send this message, according to a spokesperson from Uber. Now, it appeared that the attacker was later able to gain access to other internal systems, posting an illicit photo on an internal information page for employees. Now, the person who claimed responsibility for this hack told the New York Times that he had sent a text message to an Uber worker claiming to be a corporate information technology person. This worker was persuaded to hand over a password that allowed the attacker to gain access to Uber's systems. That's a technique known as social engineering. You've heard me talk about that quite a bit here if you're a regular follower of my podcast, video, and radio show. Now, on top of this, the attacker, who provided screenshots of internal Uber systems to demonstrate the access, said that he was 18 years old and had been working on his cybersecurity skills for several years. He said he had broken into Uber's system because the company had weak security. In the Slack message that announced this breach, he also said that Uber's drivers should receive higher pay, so a little bit of social justice there. Now, according to the New York Times, the person appeared to have access to the Uber source code, email, and other internal systems, and that is according to Mr. Curry from Yugi Systems talking to the New York Times, and I quote, "It seems like maybe there's this kid who got into Uber and doesn't know what to do with it and is having the time of his life," end quote. Seems like it. Now, an internal email that was seen by the New York Times, an Uber executive told employees that the hack was under investigation. Quote, "We don't have an estimate right now as to when full access to tools will be restored, so thank you for bearing with us." That's according to Latha Mary Puri, that is Uber's chief information security officer. Now, this is not the first time, if you recall, that basically an attacker had gotten into Uber and stolen data. Back in 2016, basically an attacker stole information from 57 million drivers and rider accounts, including credit cards, and then approached Uber to demand $100,000 to delete their copy. Uber arranged the payment. They tried to keep it secret. Obviously, it got out, heads rolled. Uber is a horrible, horrible company to begin with, which is why, I don't use them anymore. Even when I'm traveling, I try to take cabs or use Lyft whenever I can. I ignore Uber to the best. And I've done videos, and I've talked about this on my radio show. You can go back and look. But that is your very specific breach of the week. Obviously, there were plenty more. We are going to catch up on more of those, like I said, next Sunday, as I get back and start settling in from travel for a couple of days before I hit the road again. So with that, Hopefully you are not affected, but if you are using Uber as a rider or a driver or an employee, heads up to you, somebody had really deep access. You may be entitled at some point to compensation because I predict the class action lawsuits are going to roll. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everyone.